Two Rivers Talks is brought to you by Two Rivers Biz Starts. Also by Two Rivers Main Street. And by Raleigh Point Economic Advising. And by viewers like you. Thank you.
Hello everybody, this is Two Rivers Talks with your hosts, Todd and Darla. I'm Darla, this is Todd, no just kidding.
I don't want to be Todd.
Some days I don't want to be Todd. We're so glad you're here. Two Rivers Talks is a show about the city of Two Rivers, all the really cool things that are going on here, fun things to do, things that are great for the business economy, places that are worthy of your attention and visiting and enjoyment. So stick with us. We've got a great show ahead.
Right.
And you know, if you're from Two Rivers, you used to be from Two Rivers, or you're thinking of coming on back, this is the show for you. So what do we have on tap for today, Carla?
Well, I'm not going to have two different standalone episodes. We're going to have one nice big episode.
Okay.
So, in addition to our current events and kind of what's happening in Wisconsin and around our city, we'll also have How's It Hanging. We'll have Mr. Roger Rusoff during our Main Street Minute. Mm-hmm. But the big thing of the day is that we're going to have Ms. Ruby Gutierrez and Mr. Terry Stevenson of Sea Haver Broadcasting's Hello Lakeshore.
Hello Lakeshore. We were recently guests on the show,
right.
And we extended the courtesy back to them to say, well, gosh, you guys got to come on our show.
They were a fun group.
They were.
Fun pair. So I think it'll be pretty.
It's kind of like looking in a mirror, you know, except we're prettier.
Oh no, I was going to say that. Okay, I'll go with that.
Healthy self-image, it's important. Anyways, it's going to be a lot of fun talking to them and seeing what the latest is in their world and what their big plans are for Hello Lakeshore.
Right.
There's a handful of shows here in Manitowoc County, and they're definitely one of them that
right.
is worth paying some attention to.
Absolutely. And they deal more with nonprofits and a lot of things that people are doing in the city which are helpful to other people, very altruistic, you know, and but just genuinely nice people. So I'm pretty excited that they're going to be here. I
am too.
So would you like to take it away with word of the day? Word
of the day is a really great word. I really enjoy this word. It's among the best words I've ever heard. It's one that I could be accused of being once in a while. Well, maybe somewhat.
I wouldn't go that far.
Okay. The word of the day is vituperative, meaning bitter and abusive. I've been bitter. I've not been abusive. I'm verbally abusive maybe to you. I don't,
No. We wouldn't be sitting here together.
That's true. That's true. Okay.
You'd be black and blue.
I am bitter though.
No, you're not bitter. You're opinionated.
Oh, that's different. Okay.
In a very vociferous way.
So I'm vociferous, but not vituperative.
Exactly.
Ah, yes. Okay. So the usage of this word would be, for example, the critic's vituperative review of Star Wars was needlessly harsh.
And they typically are.
Yes, right.
You know, well, at least with the latest one.
I thought it was a pretty good movie. Did you see the latest one?
I don't want to. I am so Star Wars out.
It was all right. I thought, I didn't go in with any expectations that it was going to be anything more than an action-oriented J.J. Abrams flick.
Right.
And that's exactly what I got at the end of it. I mean, it was a bookend to the 9-movie.
There's going to be more, though, right?
Probably.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, do you think Disney's going to let a cash cow like that go away?
No, they're going to milk it.
Yeah.
For all it's worth.
That cow's going to move.
The cow is going to.
Vituperative.
Now I'm getting vituperative. So what's in the news?
Well, in the news, we got a lot of cool stuff that have an impact on the Two Rivers area in Manitowoc County. At the top of the news, we've got the Treehouse Theater is going to be renovating their old downtown Manitowoc building. And so the youth theater group there offers opportunities for young people ranging in ages from 4 to 18. And from here in the Lakeshore area, all the way to Sheboygan, Green Bay, Brillion, Denmark, Poughkeepsie,
That's quite
Boca
the commute.
Raton, you know. Yeah, it's a little bit longer commute for some of those other guys, but yeah,
Sure.
right. Anyways, it's a new building with 11,000 feet on 2 different levels plus a basement. It used to be a Kroger's initially, and then it was a hardware store, and then a furniture store, and then an antique mall. I know where this is downtown.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's going to be kind of a cool spot. It's a grant from the West Foundation, which is making that possible. West Foundation does a lot of great things
That's
around
right,
the
they do.
Lakeshore here. It is a $700,000 project. I'm surprised it's as cheap as that to do. They've started with the majority of the labor being provided by local volunteers, which is
Right.
probably one of the things that's reducing the cost
Absolutely.
for it.
And the thing with the Treehouse is that the Treehouse Theater is that there are kids here in Two Rivers who participate, and it's a good learning experience. It's a lot of fun. They get to learn how to work with each other. They get to learn the ins and outs of theater, and they have that chance to be creative, and it gives them something to do to keep them out of trouble,
Yeah, absolutely.
keep them focused, and the
Yeah.
kids really enjoy it.
Has there ever been a theater troupe in Two Rivers?
I'm not really sure.
I wonder, maybe if one of our viewers knows some of the history of the city, they might know if there's been a
There might have been at one time.
theatrical performing
Right.
club or something like that.
There could have been, especially when there was a theater,
Mhm.
you know, and maybe back in the 20s or 30s when there was more vaudeville.
Yeah.
Maybe there were some community groups that did,
Yeah.
you know, kind of like an
Right,
Aunt
right.
B and Clara, you know, let's
Aunt
put on a
B.
show. You never know, but yeah, so if anybody out there who's watching knows of any type of club or organization that used to put on plays,
Yeah.
let us know.
Yeah, I think it's really cool. A little bit of news from Governor Evers. You want to take that one, Darla?
Sure. Governor Evers announces more than $132 million in transportation aid payments to local governments. Local governments are seeing the first of the additional local road funding provided by the 2019 to 2021 budget. For the calendar year 2020, local governments will receive an estimated $521 million to offset transportation-related projects. It's a nice 10% increase over the last budget. January general transportation payments to Wisconsin's 1,922 local units of government include $1.26 million in general transportation aids, $3 million to 117 municipalities entitled to receive connecting highways aids, and $256,000 is going to go to Milwaukee County for expressway policing aids. A list of local payments is available on the DOT's General Transportation Aids website, so you can find a lot more information there. I wasn't able to really dig up anything about what Two Rivers would be receiving. I know that we did apply.
Okay. So we should at least qualify for something.
Yeah, I don't see why we wouldn't.
Yeah.
You know, but there wasn't as much information out there at this point in time as I would have liked,
Mhm.
but at least we know that it's going forward, and hopefully our community can benefit from it, and also our neighboring communities.
Well, I think it's great that that the governor has been able to push through something that is really investing in infrastructure for the state, which needed it badly.
Oh, big time.
And you know, I look at anything like in excess of 5% is going to be significant. I mean, that's like saying, yeah, we're doing something about this. And so a 10% increase, that's pretty
Right.
substantial.
Right.
And
He's serious.
Yeah, and I think that it's long overdue.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Now, some other Wisconsin news. We've got a number of pieces of Wisconsin news that kind of
Right.
impact us here locally. But this is really cool. Out of the 50 states, Wisconsin ranks number 13 for the best state to raise a family.
Right.
So this is Wallet Hub, measured each state for a couple of criteria: family fun, health and safety, education and childcare, affordability, and socioeconomics.
Right.
And now the top of the list was Minnesota, another great Midwestern state, with a total score of 63.71. I don't know what our score was for Wisconsin, but I'm sure we were obviously a little lower than that.
Right.
Just barely behind Minnesota was Massachusetts and North Dakota for some reason. But, you know, no accounting for taste, I suppose.
But the Midwest did pretty well in the
Yeah.
rankings.
Yeah, that's really great.
And there's a lot of effort by a lot of people in all these different states to really up their game.
Mhm.
So,
Well, I know it's something that, like, it's great because I think it gives the state overall visibility as a great place to live and raise a family.
right,
And then I think when we look at the state level and somebody's looking for some place to live, they look at a place like Two Rivers where the quality of life is very high.
right,
You've got the great lakefront location, affordable prices, like all these things I'm looking at, like family fun. Yep, we've got that. Health and safety, we've got some great programs around here.
that's right.
Education, childcare, it's there. Definitely affordable, definitely, you know, so socioeconomics is what we're working on right now.
Right.
Right, you know, the economic side of it. But there's a lot of good things that are happening now.
Right. And now another thing too is that we're talking about the state quite a bit, and it kind of ties back into our last episode, which was our interview with Governor Evers and Secretary and CEO of Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation, Missy Hughes.
If you didn't see that interview, we're going to put a little card up above so you can click on it and check it out. Of course, after you watch this video.
Right.
Right.
And we had talked about economics and development quite a bit. So, but it's just showing what we're talking about right now is just showing that Wisconsin is really in a good position to take advantage of how things are rolling
Mm-hmm.
and what we're capable of providing. It's just getting, you know, our abilities with the need together.
Mm-hmm.
So, one thing is Wisconsin's tax burden by share of income has hit its lowest point in half a century,
Wow.
which is fantastic news. The share of income Wisconsinites dish out each year to pay state and local taxes, like I said, has reached its lowest level in half a century, driven in large part by growth in personal incomes. In 2019, that was the 8th consecutive year in which Wisconsinites devoted a smaller percentage of their income to both state and local taxes than the year before, reaching its lowest point since 1970.
Incredible.
And you figured that in 2019, our tax burden as a percentage of our income dropped by about 22% from 1994, when the average was 13.2% of your income went for state and local taxes. So that things are looking better.
Mm-hmm.
It still hurts, you know.
Well, but I mean, so there's services you pay for, out of
Right.
that, you know, and I think that it depends on whether you have a big government or small government view of things, whether you like that a lot or not, you know. But I think a lower tax rate, that's something as a business owner you take advantage of. Certainly helped me this year.
Right.
And I think that you know, we're at a point where you know what the climate is, and you know that you're able to have more money in your pocket. There's more you can maybe do.
Absolutely.
Yeah, gives you more options at least.
Right.
Wisconsin's population. It seems like we're hitting all the demographics
Yeah.
at this time. Wisconsin's population is trending pretty similarly to neighboring states right now. So, according to the U.S. Census Bureau, Wisconsin gained 15,000 residents from July 2018 to July 2019. Not exactly like a surge
Right.
of population, but it's a lot better than some other Midwestern states that will go nameless. Or actually, let's name them.
Okay.
Michigan barely saw any growth at all,
Right.
while actually Illinois lost residents for its 6th year in a row. So,
Yeah.
you know, we've got people just kind of bleeding out of there for various reasons. But Minnesota led the Midwestern states with a population gain of more than 33,000, while Iowa added a little more than 6,000 residents.
Right.
So we're kind of in the middle of that path. That's
Right.
pretty good.
You know, slowly but surely, you know, and it's just going to get better. And then lastly, as far as our focus on the state, survival rate for young firms is high in Wisconsin.
This is awesome.
The mythology that Wisconsin is somehow not a good place to start and grow a business took another hit the other day and deserves the attention of young companies here and elsewhere. And although Wisconsin ranked 33rd in 2018, it's not the bottom either, okay? Wisconsin is 17th among the 50 states in private establishment growth. This is all in the past decade, and is 16th among the states in net business creation, which surprisingly is tied with California, which suggests that while Wisconsin is down on the 50 state list in raw startups, it's in the top third of the class when it comes to keeping them alive and viable.
And I think that's really interesting. So this week, I got a chance to attend the New North Roundtable in Appleton, and so that question of the overall density or number of raw startups is a big one, because Wisconsin does lag when it comes to just having people who want to start businesses. But that whole idea that we're really good at kind of keeping them going, I think it has something to do with maybe so many of the old companies that are actually doing the investing are adverse to risk. Okay. And so when they do invest in a company, then that company is probably a little more prone to stick around and succeed, or at least stick to it. I think it's got something to do with the Midwestern work ethic, I think.
Probably.
Yeah, but it's really interesting news.
Yeah, because we have a fantastic work ethic, and we have a fantastic pool of people.
We do.
And the time has come to flourish.
You're part of the fantastic pool of people.
Oh, well, thank you. You are too.
Oh, thank you, darling. Let's talk city information.
Okay.
The Two Rivers City Council is going to be meeting, as per usual, on Monday, February the 3rd at 6 p.m. In the...
Where, Todd?
Where's it going to be? Well, it's going to be in the City Council chambers on the 3rd floor of City Hall. It's, if you didn't know. Agenda is going to be posted online, and of course it'll be live streamed on Facebook. Right. The whole time, but you should drop by and check it out.
And now, as far as elections, we do have 5 candidates who will be running for City Council in April. Yeah, threw that hat in the ring. There were, I believe, 8, maybe 9 people who had taken out paperwork.
Really?
Yeah, to get signatures for their nomination papers.
I think that's amazing.
That was a lot of interest.
Public participation in our local political scene, I think, is super important. Right.
Now, if we had had 7 or more people turn in paperwork, we would have had to have had a primary. Mm-hmm. As it turns out, there was only 5 candidates who turned in all of their signatures and all of the paperwork that's required, which it's not extensive, but it's it takes a little while. Okay.
So the names of the 5 candidates are incumbent Bonnie Shimalanis, sorry, Tracy Coach, right, Adam Wachowski, Keith Lyons, right, and Darnay LaClure.
Should I get glasses for your
glasses? I don't know her. Yeah, it's
and me.
Kind of a different name. I don't know.
You're such a nut. No, I took a year off. Yeah. Because there was so much that was going on, but the minute that I went off of City Council, and I missed my first meeting, I had a little minor panic attack. It's like, what have I done? But I've enjoyed the past year of just concentrating on some of the committees, especially branding and marketing and Main Street. Will be IDC too, because it's been exciting. Mm-hmm. But I'm to a point now where I really I hope to be back on City Council, and because I really miss it, and I think
you were bitten by the bug.
I was bitten by the bug. Yep. I really was. Now, in the spring election, it's going to be held on April the 7th. So mark your calendars. Make sure you get out and vote. And
there are 2 current City Council members, David England and Eric Donerman, that have said they're not going to be running again.
Right. They're taking breaks as well. Yeah. I'll tell you, the past couple of years have been tough.
Intense.
They will, yeah, intense, not
Mhm.
tough, but really, really intense with everything that's been going on, especially with Paragon. And
Sure.
that is, we're seeing light at the end of the tunnel, and that's the melodrama has kind of died down, and now we can get down to business. But with everything that had been going on the past couple of years, it really ate up a lot of people's time. And you have to realize that the people on city council attend a lot of meetings, and
it's not a high-paying job.
No,
right.
no. And I know that from what we get, which is nice that we get it. When I was on council, it didn't even cover my costs for, you know, like for gas.
Oh, yeah.
And just supplies and all that. But it's something, and we're not in it for the paycheck. We're in it because we love our community.
It's public service.
It is public service, and it's a wonderful way to, you know, to try and do your best to help your community out.
Absolutely.
You want to tell us about the former Shoreline credit union?
Yeah, I'm so excited. I'm hoping we can get these guys on the show.
Yeah.
So any of you that may be familiar with on Memorial Drive, there's the Shoreline Credit Union building that's been empty for a little while now. Well, it's going to be reopening in April as a co-working business space.
That's cool.
So Roy and Tamara Lapsa, originally from Palmyra, Wisconsin, purchased the building on Memorial Drive, and they're going to be converting it into a co-working business space called Great Lakes Plaza. So it's slated to open in the spring. If you want some more information on it, you can visit greatlakesplaza.com or call 920-657-9220. I did go down and meet, I think, Roy's daughter and Roy. Actually, I don't think I met Tamara. Maybe I did. Maybe that is his daughter. I was thinking that as a couple, but it's actually father-daughter.
I think it's father-daughter.
Yeah. And Tamara was great. I talked to her on the phone. I had called because I was interested in information about it for Biz Starts that I do, and that's going to be a big space. That's a big building down there, and I think it's just close enough between Two Rivers and Manitowoc, like it's down on that end of Two Rivers, that I think if you were a business startup in Manitowoc and you were looking for a space to co-work with some other, like have some energy, not have to work at home out of your bunny slippers, then you can basically go in and have a cup of joe and work with some other people nearby on good Wi-Fi and with a beautiful uplifting view of the lakefront.
Did they happen to mention to you just how much remodeling they would have to do? It seems like there was already offices.
Yeah, it's pretty turnkey because if you think about it, like I think that was going to be more for business banking. And so like there were separate offices for all of the bankers in there. So you walk back in, there's the main lobby, and you walk into the right, and it's just all offices and then a big open space in the middle, which is perfect for a co-working facility.
Right.
And then I think they were maybe hoping or thinking about a cafe, and then maybe having like ideally I'd like to see. Of course, I'm not running it, but it would be really nice to see like an event space in there.
That would be cool.
To be able to do presentations. I'd love to do some stuff for Biz Starts or maybe the TRBA, down there.
That sounds like that would be a good marriage. It really does.
Yeah. So, super exciting stuff. And speaking of super exciting stuff.
Yeah. We've been telling you every episode to visit explore2rivers.com, and please do if you haven't. But I just did want to mention some of the upcoming city events that you'll find on this calendar at that website. And we can take this back and forth.
Tag team it? Yeah.
Foreign Film Ramen Shop at the Leicester Public Library.
Very cool. Art Night at Sepia Chapel.
Yeah. And this I think sounds really cool. It's a newcomers social at the community house. And that is for people new to Two Rivers.
I just saw an invite for that. Yeah, up on Facebook. Yeah. Right. Okay. TR Teen Night at the Hamilton Woodtype Museum.
And Family Winter Fun Day at the Community House.
Live music at Whiskey D's.
Chess and Family Game Night at the Leicester Public Library.
Get my nerd on with that. I like that. And then cribbage, dartball, dominoes, and frustration dice at the Senior Center.
Right. So go to explore2rivers.com and you'll be able to get the dates and times and particulars of all these plus other events. So I'm just teasing them with this.
I think that's great. If they want to find out more about them,
Yeah,
all they got to do is go to exploretreehouse.com.
that's right.
So a couple of other just kind of business related sorts of things. The Two Rivers Biz Starts is kicking off its first meeting of the year.
Right.
Next Wednesday, January the 22nd at 6 o'clock at the Leicester Public Library. The theme for January 2020 is Refresh. And it's going to be all about goal setting and holding each other accountable for the year of 2020 for our businesses. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Stop by. We'll probably have coffee and cookies and have a nice time at the Leicester.
Okay.
And then in other business news, the Two Rivers Business Association is having its regular monthly meeting on Thursday, February the 6th, 7:30 a.m. at the Lighthouse Inn. If you've never been to a TRBA meeting, if you are a business owner or if you are a student interested in business, like a college student, stop by. There's no charge to participate in the meeting. It's a great way to learn about stuff that's going on in the community, and particularly the business community.
Right.
What's happening there. And we're going to have a special guest. This month it's going to be Nate Steber from the Two Rivers Police Department. Is going to be talking about how to recognize counterfeit bills. If someone's trying to pass you a bill, some ways you can check on it, things to be aware of, things to look for. So I think it's going to be a very useful conversation, especially anyone that's involved in retail. But really, all of us need to be aware of it.
Right. Oh, absolutely. And so if I wanted to go, I could bring a guest.
Absolutely. We'd love to see you there.
And did you want to talk about the membership drive?
Yeah, so we are really trying to rebuild the membership for Two Rivers Business Association. Usually we have between 40 to 60, 70 members every year. We're still trending well. Once people join, they tend to stay in the organization. It's a very low cost to join for the year. It's like $80.
Okay.
But what you get for that, what we're really focusing on this year is a move away from kind of the social club atmosphere, that's sort of the morning monthly meetings, to something that's a little more business focused. And we'd really like to maybe do some more evening networking events. And we have about 5 or 6 things in mind that we want to do this year.
Okay.
That we really are serious about, trying to do more to drive business value for members. And so that includes some of the bigger corporate, businesses, here in town. We're going to be knocking on their doors to talk a little bit about that. And I think one of the things, one of the business areas we really want to focus on this year is what can we do to keep young people here in the city and keep them working here. And one of the best ways you can do that is get them an internship. Okay. So we're going to be looking at some ways this year, maybe do an event around gathering businesses and students interested in internships into one spot for a meeting of minds.
I think that would be fantastic. Yeah. That's so good for the young people, just to get the experience of this is what. Yeah. This is real life, hands-on.
And good for area businesses too, because not only is that sort of the thing that I hear every time I go to any kind of economic development thing around here, that we can't find enough people, Right. Well, let's have more of these connections and collisions, to have, those opportunities for interaction. And,
I think that's great.
Make something happen, right?
And what exactly is your position within TRBA?
I was just elected president starting this year.
Congratulations.
So, thank you very much. Yeah.
And I know that I know you're changing things around. You're changing them up.
Well, and
you're adding to it.
Not just for the sake of change, but I think if we're going
needed.
to grow, we need to kind of churn the pot a little bit.
Right.
So.
Well, you're a good pot turner.
Thank you.
Turner.
I've been known to cook a soup or two in my day. So.
You can. I know it doesn't apply, but let's open that kimono and see what's underneath.
Every so often, I
don't know where you come up with that.
Get it with a good one.
But I love that one. So anyway, what's coming up next is going to be How's It Hanging, and after that we'll have our Main Street Minute with Mr. Roger Rusov. So please stay tuned.
Welcome back, everybody. We're so glad you stayed with us. We have with us today two very special guests, Mr. Terry Stevenson and Ms. Ruby Gutierrez from Hello Lakeshore, as part of CHIV for Broadcasting. And we're so welcome. We're so welcome. We're so glad that we could have you on the show.
Well, we are happy to be here.
Excellent, excellent. This is kind of sort of a reciprocal thing because you were kind enough to invite us onto Hello Lakeshore about a month or so ago. And we're just super impressed with what a neat show it is and how you're shining the spotlight on things that are happening on the Lakeshore. We have a similar mission with things we're trying to do with the Two River Focus. But we just wanted to have you on the show to tell us a little bit about sort of the origins of the show and how long you guys have been working together. We want to basically everything. Ready, set, go.
The story, right? Ruby goes first.
So we've been working together for I think 5 years.
Yeah.
I started at CHIV for Broadcasting part-time, and then like 2 years later I started full-time.
Yep.
And then how Hello Lakeshore started, it was just an idea that I had to shine the spotlight on local nonprofits in the area. Because I think what I do, I'm on Facebook all the time. It's part of my job, but I'm on Facebook all the time.
We're here to be on Facebook.
I am too. It's just part of my life.
But you see it on Facebook all the time when people, it's either somebody they know or somebody they just met or somebody they see along their way in their life and they need help with something, anything. There's a lot of people that always ask, well, where can we find resources? Where can this person get help? And I guess I kind of just wanted to be a place where nonprofits can come and talk about their mission, rather than just talking about a single event that they have coming up. What is your mission? How can people get involved? How can people donate and volunteer? And who do you guys serve? There's some nonprofits that have been on the Lakeshore for a very long time, and everybody knows about them, but there's some that just started within the past year that we've had on. So Lean on Me Lakeshore, I think, just had their 1 year anniversary, and Lakeshore Foster Families and Friends as well just had their 1 year anniversary recently, and we had them on the show. So, and I believe it was Lean on Me Lakeshore, he said that they have the resources to help people, but they're not getting a lot of people coming to them. So it's just another platform to help them help the people in our community. So we started with nonprofits, and now we've expanded it to people who make up the spirit of the Lakeshore, as I like to say. So people who are just doing good things in the city.
And that was kind of how you guys came in touch with us, because we're not really a not-for-profit, but I'm a black-hearted capitalist at heart. But,
Right.
But we are not profit.
we have no profit. We just do this because we think it's important. So no, I think it's amazing. And now it is an audio podcast.
Only audio, yes. That's why I'm like very beat red right now, because I get so nervous on video. That's why ours is the only audio.
For right now, you never know. Maybe we'll be doing some video.
We're gonna
that's what I was gonna
There's
ask.
supposed to be like a hidden camera somewhere.
Right. Yeah, no, it's a podcast available on the CFR News app, and an opportunity for people to just, as we said, connect with the community and connect with nonprofits and other organizations and or events that are really, as Ruby said, making up the spirit here on the Lakeshore.
It's on the CFA News app.
Yes.
But it's also on SoundCloud.
It is also on SoundCloud
Yes.
as well.
Right.
Yep.
And then you guys have a Facebook page as well?
Not specifically for Hello Lakeshore, but we do share it on our radio station Facebook pages. So WOT Radio is where we usually put a push out like, hey, there's a new episode. On Twitter as well for CHIV for News, we have a Twitter page there. So we also put out a push there whenever we have a new episode.
So whatever your social media of choice happens to be,
right.
Find
Try and get out there as many and as many different platforms as possible.
Yeah. So do you guys have sort of a favorite interview you've done so far?
I think you guys.
Really?
No, actually, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed our debut episode. Remember that debut episode? We had questions towards one another. Kind of get to know each other more, and for the listeners to kind of get to know us a little bit more.
It was like a fast 10.
Yeah.
Very quickly on the spot and go. Right.
That's nice.
So that was a lot of fun. It'd be interesting to go back and listen to that, right? Kind of see what may have changed.
So that was kind of like your screen test, because we have
pretty much
our very first episode is like that too.
It was just us riffing,
just
right?
just to see if it's gonna fly.
Yeah,
you
see how
know.
it works, right?
That was a test for me, because it's like, can she actually talk when there's a mic in front of her? Because Terry comes from obviously on our radio station and other things he's done in town. He's a talker. He's on the mic. He interviews, and I don't come from that at all. I'm in the background.
But I will say,
interview.
Ruby
do
has
that.
made amazing progress. And I love the personality of her coming out on audio, whether it's podcasting or the radio, because you've been on the radio more and more now. So I think you should have your own radio show soon. So still trying to make that happen. You know, late nights with Ruby. But we'll
like
see.
at 2 to 3 a.m. That's
You gotta start somewhere, right? Midnight. No, the midnight to 2 a.m. hour. Right?
You do have a key to the building, right?
Exactly, right?
You can get, oh, I can get
Yeah.
3 o'clock.
How do you know? I have been doing the entire time.
Help us know. Has she been done?
So if you had a 3 a.m. radio show, what kind of music would you play?
Oh, geez. I think I would just play like contemporary hot. I was gonna say hot country.
Hot
Not hot country. I'm sorry.
There's some
Adult
hot country for you.
contemporary. That's what I'm trying to talk about. Adult contemporary. I couldn't even tell you one country song. I don't know why I thought of that.
Mine would be Tom Waits all the time.
Okay.
Just an hour or two of just Tom Waits.
Sure.
We accidentally had that the other day on one of our stations. The song kept playing
Oh, yeah.
over and over. I forget
That's
who it
right.
was.
I remember. Something happened.
It was a glitch.
Glitch
Yeah.
technology,
glitch,
right?
yes.
You love it at the same time. Why doesn't it always work, right? But
Right.
hey,
Tom
it is what it
Jones,
is.
I think it was.
Oh gosh. What's New Pussycat, perhaps? That would
It
be
was our easy listening station.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I thought that was kind of funny.
Hey, I wanted to put a bug in your ear too
Okay.
about starting up like an arts broadcast,
Show.
an arts
Okay.
program.
An art show. The art
Yeah,
show.
kind of, and maybe like a half-hour show because
Okay.
we're not huge like Chicago.
Sure.
They have WCGO does theirs weekly every
Yeah.
Sunday for 2 hours. But look what they've got to work with.
Right.
But if we had, you know,
Right.
just something that just kind of mentions, here's what's going on, here's what's new over at the RAR West, or you know,
Yeah.
maybe talk about Art Slam, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Something like that would be really,
Would be
All of
really
this is
cool.
all local artists, right?
It is.
Pretty much, yeah. About 80% of what's in
I
here is
recognize
local.
those over there, the David Carpenter ones.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
I don't
Yeah.
know him, but I recognize them.
Oh.
I recognize them by his, like, before I walked up there to make sure that was his, but I just
And you've
recognized
seen
the
those
artwork.
before, and those
Yeah.
amaze me because when I first saw those, I thought they were photographs.
Right?
Yeah,
That's what
it's
I thought
crazy.
too. He has the ones with shoes and stuff as well. And
I think so.
looks
Yeah.
really-
Yeah.
And those just made me hungry.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
but anyway, but I had to put a
Not the
bug in
Yeah,
your ear.
yeah.
Pastries, right?
Yeah, the pastry.
You know, we're always looking for new ideas and new ways to bring some new content and some original programming to the listeners, and I think that's one of the reasons what makes CFR Broadcast and WMT so dominant is the fact that we are bringing that local information to our listeners, and the Hello Lakeshore podcast is just an extension of the overall
Yeah.
brand of who we are and what we do.
I think it's great because you really are kind of changing, you know, how news is approached and how information is disseminated, and it's a lot broader and it's a lot more enjoyable.
Yeah.
You know, and it's super interesting. And
Well,
I-
news is part of our daily lives, right? And so
Yeah.
we need to be able to connect and engage and be able to talk to listeners or viewers or fans or followers or whatever you want to call them in different ways and different methods of how they're consuming media, because we are constantly consuming media and news is all around us. And so however we can bring content to listeners like that is just going to continue to help overall
Right.
move the product forward.
Well, it's such a vital service to the community too. I think that you know, local news has suffered a lot in recent years.
Yes.
A lot of local newspapers just kind of going away
Yep.
or drying up or not actually becoming viable news
Yep.
sources anymore. I think audio radio broadcast is incredibly important, as is the digital side of things, which is, I know
Mhm.
you've done a lot of work with
Right.
CHafer.com as well. Were you awarded for that or recognized for?
For CA for News,
For CA for News,
yes, from
yes.
the Wisconsin Broadcasters Association, we actually got in Media Market, we got the best website out of all of the radio stations
Yeah.
in our media market
Yeah.
in Wisconsin. So
Yeah.
yeah, it
And that's
was
only after
amazing.
a couple of years of launching it, you know, and so definitely a lot of props to Ruby for building it
from
to
a
make it
Newbie, newbie
right,
digital person too.
right.
But when I was working part-time for Terry, I kind of like figured out from what he had me doing what I liked the most, and that's
Yeah.
what I kind of just kept learning more.
Yeah.
kept just learning and growing, and nobody asked me to. Nobody was like, hey, we're gonna do this. I was like, no, I like this. I'm just gonna keep.
I think it's
going.
fantastic. That's really a feather in your cap. And I mean, it's nice to be recognized for hard work, and you do a spectacular job.
Mm-hmm.
So it really is nice that you are recognized.
And our newsroom does most of the work. I just put it out there for them, but it really goes to our newsroom too for keeping things local. And I know that's really important to them as well, especially David in the newsroom. He usually does a lot of the local stories that we have that people, like the human interest ones and things like that. So
now, are you both from Manitowoc or Manitowoc area?
So I was born in Wausau, but I grew up here in Manitowoc.
Okay.
So elementary, junior high, high school, here, all here in Manitowoc or Manitowoc County.
Youth retention.
Yes.
Hey,
there you go.
You're the one who stayed.
Yeah. Well, I
that
graduated.
one guy that stayed. I heard about you.
Yeah, right. I'm that one guy, right? No, I graduated Lincoln on a Friday and moved out to my own apartment on Saturday, and I started full time on Monday. Just jumped right in, and here we are, right?
So, really?
Yeah, I had an opportunity to try and do something, and I didn't really know what I wanted to do.
Right.
And so I'm like, well, let's give this a shot, and here we are.
Yeah.
So
was that with Seahafer?
Yeah. So my grandfather Don Seahafer started the company. My uncle Mark is now the president of the company.
Okay.
So family-owned company.
Yeah.
And WMT itself is now I think it's like our 91st or something like that year in broadcasting. So we're definitely been around for a while, and family-owned company. It's definitely fun to be part of this.
Yeah, you get a big 100-year anniversary coming up.
Coming up soon.
Yeah.
We gotta figure out what to do.
Give away a car.
Right?
So much did we give away, but they gave away a car like a long time ago, like in the 70s, didn't they?
Yeah, I think that was
the same car. The
there
same
we go. Find that. If you won that car, we want it back. Right? The small print, you don't get to keep it forever. But there's that's one of the fun things about being in local radio in a small family-owned company like ours, is that we get to be able to do things like that for the listeners and for the community, and do things that a lot of other stations in big markets just can't do, or they don't have the freedom or flexibility to do some of the things that we do. And so a lot of that goes to credibility of again the localism, but also our team to make to what we do make possible.
Amazing, so great.
And are you from Manitowoc?
I was born in San Antonio, Texas, but we moved here when I was like 2, so I don't even really know a whole lot of that.
For all intents and purposes.
Life, basically.
You grew up here.
In Manitowoc. Yeah, I grew up here, and then we just go visit Texas like once a year. But I definitely like this feel better than because San Antonio is so huge. I mean, I always say you always have to cross like 3 highways to get to a Walmart or something. I don't like that. Plus, I hate driving. So this is perfect for me. Everything is exactly where I need it to be. There's, nature. If I want to go on a hike, if I want to go to the beach, everything's like 10 minutes away.
Really, we have everything here. It's a large metropolis in a very small little. I mean, we got everything. It's just a microcosm.
Yeah.
And I love San Antonio. By the way, I was stationed in El Paso. Mm-hmm. And checked San Antonio out several times, but there is just something about this area that makes you want to stay and just do your thing.
I think because I was only there when I was a baby, I didn't get used to the heat. So now whenever we go there, I'm like dying. Everybody else is like, oh, we're long sleeves and everything.
Would you rather be there or experience the coldness?
I'd rather be cold.
Really?
You can put more layers on.
So you'd rather be cold?
If you're hot, you're just gonna be hot.
Well, you can't take your skin off.
Oh, that's true.
You can only
generally not
take
recommended.
so much, or you either get
Your
arrested.
doctor would advise against
Yeah.
But yeah, it's cold. I don't mind the snow either. As long as it doesn't last too long, I don't mind the snow.
What is too long to you?
Too long. I can go one snowstorm and that's enough.
One and done.
I think we've reached our quota for the year. All right.
Right.
And so you've both been with Seahafer for a while now.
Yeah.
And you grew up in.
Yeah. So I started part-time when I was like 14 years old.
And what were you doing when you were 14? I'm
Yeah,
curious.
so at that time, a lot of different things. So some janitorial stuff, filing a lot of papers, a lot of the route slips and things. Like, you know, we have like these big binders, and just a lot of filing that way. I was a board op for a lot of their sports games, where right now a lot of that stuff is automated, right? So the computer plays the commercials. Back in the day, we actually had to play every single commercial manually, and they were all on carts. And so, you know, we have this big cart rack with, you know, hundreds of clients' carts in there, and then all be alphabetized, and I'd be following the log, and you have to quickly go to the A's and pull up the cart and manually play every single commercial. And so, you know, a lot of times, you know, you're in the Brewer games, you know, because that was all manual, that was not automated, Packer games, high school sports, and so, you know, 14, 15 years old, just doing odds and ends kinds of things like that, answering the telephone, and then slowly worked my way into doing some sales part-time. And like I said, and then after I graduated high school, jumped right in to do full-time sales.
That's amazing.
So done a little bit of everything. I'm not an engineer, so I don't really know any of the technical stuff. That's something that I have no knowledge on. But I've had a chance and the privilege of being able to experience a little bits of parts of all different of the company.
And that's the way to learn it too.
Yeah.
It really, really is. And you get a greater appreciation as to how the whole organization runs.
Yeah.
And what's important and
and what kind of jobs are difficult, right? You know, and what kind of jobs I get, that is not for me, right? I don't want to be doing that all the time, or vice versa.
Right.
And so yeah, I had the, you know, like I said, very honored to be able to experience a lot of different opportunities, and just, you know, working underneath my grandfather directly, and then my uncle and things like that, to kind of learn more about the business and learn more about just the community, and also the importance of, you know, giving back to not only our clients and listeners, but the overall community at large.
And that's basically what when I'm there, that's what is most important to me, is the community and how we interact with them, communicate with them, and what we do for the community. So that's kind of, it's also like Hello Lakeshore, how that came up. Because that's like what I'm always looking for.
It's a passion of yours.
Too, is like the community and how they see us and how we can be more assistance to anybody or.
And you've been doing this, you've had Hello Lakeshore for about a year.
Almost, we started last spring.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and we've had a ton of awesome nonprofits and individuals on there. Some that went by really, really quick, and some not so much. But that's just what happens in an interview, right? Right. But I think, you know, with the personality and the relationships that we've been able to build, like, it's been awesome.
I think that's fantastic. And so one of my questions was going to be, what are some changes you've seen in radio broadcasting? And you've already kind of touched on that, with things used to be more manual, and now a lot of automation has come in. What are some other things that?
So one of the biggest things, you know, in broadcasting itself, you know, so I serve on our Wisconsin Broadcasters Association, Young Professional Committee, and things through the National Association of Broadcasters as well. And so from an industry standpoint at large, so broadcasting in general, understanding that, you know, people listen to radio differently and for different reasons now than what they did, you know, even 5, 10 plus years ago, right? Or in the sense of, you know, music, for example, you don't necessarily need to listen to radio to get your music, right? With all the new technologies and products out there. However, what continues to make radio broadcasting very powerful is the localism and or the personalities, right? Listeners enjoy listening and engaging with the morning team, right? Or the afternoon guys on the radio. Being able to have that relationship with the local DJ, the local announcer, the local personality, that's what keeps people engaged in radio. And so we in the broadcast, if we can continue to make sure that there is that engagement from an on-air to a listener standpoint, that's what's going to continue to drive radio forward. But not only that, but it's continuing to provide content that you can't get anywhere else, right? Such as the Hello Lakeshore, or a lot of other programs like Be My Guest and WMT, or the Breakfast Club on Cover Radio and things like that. Like being able to give content to an audience that they can't get anywhere else, that they can't get on Sirius XM, that they can't get on Pandora, right? Bringing those kinds of information to listeners and continuing to evolve that is going to just continue to attract listeners in that way. So there's a lot of changes just from an industry standpoint, and that's just not even talking about the technology. I mean, social media, digital, and that's totally have revolutionized who we are and what we do in broadcasting nowadays, where you don't necessarily physically need an AM/FM radio to listen to us. We're on Alexa, right, or whatnot, or your smartphone. So the technology itself has definitely evolved and allows us to reach a broader audience and an audience that's not here anymore, right? I mean, back in the day, if you weren't in this audience, you could not get WMT or Q&2 or whatever, right? Or the high school games that were broadcasted. Right. Now, if you're on vacation or if you're out of the area, you can still listen to us. So,
well, it seems to me that it's almost the same sort of attitude that happened when people were saying, well, now that we have ebooks, we don't need books anymore. Right. It's like, well, now that we have the internet, we don't need radio stations anymore. Right. That's not true. Right. It's actually expanded the use of it, like you said.
And it allows us to engage and connect with an audience in a totally different way now. Right. I mean, it has opened up opportunities for us to engage ourselves as a company and our brand with listeners, but also it has allowed us to help our clients connect with an audience as well too. So yes, technology has maybe impacted us in the sense of, now I could just stream any stations. Yeah, you can, but now look at all the new stuff that we have available that we can do as well. So it's constantly changing, and just from us, from an industry standpoint, always taking a bigger approach and looking at where are we going as an industry, what are the trends, where are we going technology-wise, and how are we going to continue to stay on top of that and not fall behind, because once you fall behind, it's going to be very difficult to catch up, because technology is moving so quickly, so fast, and we have to...
At the speed of light.
Exactly.
I mean, it is unbelievable.
Right. I mean, I look at my grandfather, who started in broadcasting when he was 16 years old. Right now he's in mid-80s, right? So I just look at the vastness of changes that he has seen in his career in all those years, when he first started to now where he is today. And so I think, okay, where are we today and where are we going in the future? Where are we going to be in 5 years? Where are we going to be in 10 years? Where are we going to be in 20 years from now? Because radio is not going to go away. It's just going to look differently.
So what do you have in the works right now?
I can't tell you that.
Well, see, we wouldn't tell you either.
Right.
We're the camera over there, right?
So here's what we're doing. No, I mean, there's a lot of really cool ideas and plans and projects that we are working on behind the scenes, and ideas and what we want to do from a company standpoint, and or just from a local being able to provide more content to people. So there's a lot of really cool things on the horizon, because we're always constantly looking at what's next, right? I mean, at the same time, not only looking at what's next, but making sure that what we're doing, still we're serving our clients and serving our listeners and serving, again, the community at large well. And so not letting that go on the wayside to look ahead, always keep making sure we're doing this, and what can we add? What can we do better? What can we do, right? I mean, you gotta, crawl before you walk before you run before you sprint. Right, and I think such as the CA for News app, where we are today compared to where we were 2 years ago, we didn't have an app. Right, and awesome, right? So huge growth. Okay, here we are today. Where are we going to be in 2 years? Where's Hello Lakeshore going to be in 2 years? Right, here we are today, a year later. Right, a lot of things. If we can continue to keep evolving, continue to keep progressing, that's what people are going to want.
And that's what you have to do. And I mean, but that gives you this wonderful outlet for creativity, and just let your mind just kind of like run rampant and pull those really good ideas out of it,
Well, the whole creativity part, I think that's where Ruby has totally come in, especially with a lot of the videos that we're doing now. I mean, with the Be My Guest Plus, I mean, that's creativity right here, flowing.
Yeah. That's just from working at CA for Broadcasting too, and with Terry and with Mark. They gave me a lot of freedom. I have ideas and I can bring it, and usually they're like, sure, go with it, try it, doesn't work,
Isn't that nice?
Just try it.
It's a sign of a good workplace, right? Where you have people that
they let you fly.
They give you the parameters, like don't do drugs, don't
Yeah.
but like aside from that, do good things. Just as an example, right?
But yeah, they do give a lot of freedom for creativity there, which is I appreciate. I always have like ideas and I'm like, I don't know if that'll work. Well, maybe, I don't know. And then there's always people who in the office that I bounce ideas off
But
They
that-
might not like it because I step in their office. I'm like, hey, you got a second? Everybody's busy. Like I just
It's true,
verbalize
though.
for a
Like,
second.
if you give people the autonomy to do good work, they will generally get really motivated, to want to do, interesting, creative stuff.
And everything that I'm doing with the videos too, and I'm teaching myself.
Well, that's what I'm really amazed with, was in just the fact that, like, when you started, like, you didn't have, and I didn't train you in a lot of this stuff because I didn't know it. We just, here we go, let's figure it out, let's make it happen.
Yeah.
Right? And
That's what we did.
Figured it out.
Yeah.
As you can
It's a
tell.
challenge.
You
You
didn't
rise
record,
to the
right?
challenge.
Darn it. And it's easy enough to put that time and that work in when you find something that you're interested in or that you're passionate about. So.
Right.
And there's stuff that I never knew I was passionate about.
Yeah.
But I learned something new, and that's
Yeah.
from working in a place that allows me to do that.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, I did want to say that as far as getting news, especially if
Yeah.
we're trying to, populate what we're talking about with, hey, this is what's been, current events. You guys are my go-to. And there's another outlet that shall remain nameless
Sure.
that I don't even really bother with anymore because you guys have far surpassed them. And your content is so relevant, and you talk, there might be like an article that comes up about something that isn't mentioned anywhere else, and it's super relevant, and it's like, man, people would be very interested to hear this. So we actually do kind of paraphrase some of what you guys do, but we credit you with it.
Yeah.
But that's where I go, and I think it, and actually, it wasn't really until I started doing Two Rivers Talks that I realized that you had the website, and of course, I really didn't pay that much
Sure.
attention to
Sure.
what was going on.
Sure.
But you guys, you're doing a spectacular job, and I enjoy it. I think it's really well done, and the information, the content is fantastic.
I think that goes a lot to our newsroom too. They
Yeah.
do a lot. I know they've told me, and I've always hold on to this. I'm like, it's very easy to get the crime stories and stuff like that. People don't need our help finding that out,
Right.
figuring that out. So if we don't get it, absolutely, the second it comes out, I mean, it's probably been on Facebook for half an hour before we get a press release on it anyways.
Right.
But that original content about the things that nobody else is talking about around here, nobody from like the Green Bay TV stations aren't going to talk about it, things like that. Just like they see where there's a story in our small town.
There's such a vital need for it. I mean, because I think citizen journalism just doesn't cut it because, it might be up on Facebook first, but it's probably wrong.
Right.
When it gets there. So you need trained journalists who are verifying information and talking to people that actually know something.
Sure.
That can share things about it. And then you've got the local voice. So like you said, Green Bay doesn't know about this story that you're covering, but you're here.
Yeah.
You have it. And I think it's so vital to communities to have that outlet.
Manitowoc community, I mean, we really are blessed in this community because, yes, we are part of the Green Bay market, or we have Green Bay TV, and, for big stories, Green Bay will cover it. But, a lot of the stuff that we do, like, they're not going to cover, and that's where I think, like, we really pick up. And, from a local level, that's what people want, right? They want to know what's going on here. They don't necessarily are that invested into all the little stuff that's going on in the bigger cities around us.
Right.
They want to know what's going on here in Manitowoc and Two Rivers.
Right.
Right. And that's where, we have that opportunity through CFR News, through the CFR News app, through Hello Lakeshore, through the radio stations, to be able to provide that content and that information to the community.
Did you guys ever think about going into printed word?
Printed word.
Yeah.
Yes, huh? Broadcasting to print.
Okay, newspaper.
I will say that there is a lot of there's ideas that have been discussed on what else to do.
Okay.
Oh, I think we did it like way back in the day. They did that. There was a newsletter that came out.
Yes.
I don't know how often.
Yeah.
Like once a month or something.
Yeah, I
there was
remember.
a newsletter that WOMT put out.
Right. Yeah. I mean, we have some like really cool archives, some really cool
I bet.
photos and
that'd
things
be
like
really
that.
cool. Yeah.
To go through, but I mean, there's definitely a time and place for something like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And ultimately it comes down to if you're going to do it, how do you do it well, and how do you make sure that it's current and relative for a reader or a listener or a viewer, like I said, fan, follower, whatnot, you need to reach people and you need to touch them in ways that they want to be touched, right? Whether it's through their cell phone, whether it's through the radio, whether it's through videos on a computer screen, like being able to connect with them on their levels. That's what we are broadcasting. That's evolved into just media rather than just your traditional over-the-air AM/FM broadcast.
Right.
We've expanded and we're going to continue to expand in the years to come.
That's wonderful. Well, good luck to you guys. And thanks again for having us on Hello
Yeah.
Lakeshore.
Well, thanks for having us on here.
Yeah.
Well, and thank you for being community builders and community connectors, because that's what it's about.
Yeah. She keeps us engaged.
Yeah.
She keeps us what's going on in the community, right? She's the one that really is following up with and staying on top of a lot of stuff. So props to her.
Thanks. For Hello Lakeshore too, before we go, because I know we're running out of time, but we always do ask the community too, if you have any suggestions for guests or anything like that, nonprofit or people who are doing great things in our community. We have gotten a few, but if you want to, you can.
We welcome more.
Yeah, send us more. You can send it to my email address, which is ruby@womtradio.com. So nonprofits that you want to learn more about, or people who are just doing great things in the community.
And we will have means of, we'll have all the information about how to connect with Hello Lakeshore and connect with you down in the doobly-doo below the video here.
We just like the word doobly-doo.
We try to drop it every minute. If it was a drinking game, that would be it. But we hope to come back again.
Yes.
And thanks for joining us, and we'll see you again soon.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks.
And hi, we're back. We're here with Mr. Roger Rusov, who is the director of Main Street. And we have a couple things to cover today. So if you want to get started and give us your good news and updates.
We do, and you know, for a slow time of year, supposedly for me, we've got an awful lot of neat things going on at Two Rivers. And the first one of those I want to talk about is an event that's actually been going on for quite a while. It's the Great Trivia Contest. This event this year will be on Friday, March 13th. It's held in the gym at the Hamilton Community House. And this is an event that's been running, I believe, for 11 years now, if I remember correctly. And before I even get into details, I want to thank two people who are really the people that drive this event every year, and it's Teresa and Nathan Cronfirst. This is an event that they're very passionate about, and they have a lot of fun doing it. They write the bulk of the questions and put the presentations together and basically run the whole thing. My job in this is really the background type stuff, making sure the food is there, making sure we have beer and things like that. Now, getting into how the contest works, it's a team trivia contest. We have teams up to 10 people. We have room for 16 teams in the gym at the community house. So if you do want to participate, let me know at the Main Street office as soon as possible. And there are 81 trivia questions asked. They're scored, obviously, right or wrong. Team with the most points wins a cash prize of $400.
Oh, wow.
We have some wonderful gift bags or gift baskets that are filled with various little trinkets from Two Rivers businesses and things like that for the second and third place teams, as well as the best theme team. Because we look for themes, and we have some pictures. If any of you want pictures to blackmail people with in Two Rivers, give me a call, because I have what is his name? The Lorax orange character from one of the Disney things, or not Disney, Dr. Seuss things. I have pictures of our city manager Greg Buckley as the Lorax.
I would love to see that. I've seen him as Santa Claus a couple times, but the Lorax, oh my gosh.
The event is a lot of fun. Again, teams of up to 10 people. It costs $200 to have a team enter. The event is on Friday, March 13th. Doors open at 6 o'clock in the gym at the community house here in Two Rivers. That gives people an hour to set up and eat. We supply pizza from the Waverly and subs from Fatso's.
Okay.
There is a cash bar at the event, as well as that, and at 7 o'clock is when we start the contest portion of the event.
Okay.
It's a lot of fun. It was an event I volunteered at a couple of times prior to me taking this job. I was asked as a board member to serve on the Schrader's department store trivia team one year, and we won.
Okay.
So I am a great trivia contest champion.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
It was. And like I said, it's a lot of fun. The people that participate have fun. It's really kind of a Friday night, let your hair down
Sure.
and be a little
Oh, yeah.
goofy event. And we see great themes. I mean, in 2018, the winning theme was let's watch Netflix and chill. And they actually brought an inflatable sofa into the gym. And I mean, just really, people really get into the theme part of it. It's a riot to participate in. Okay? But I will say, we don't allow spectators. It was tried for a couple of years, and people would sit in the audience and yell out answers, and it affected the competitive issues of the contest.
Right.
So we do not allow spectators. So if you want to see it, you need to gather 9 of your intelligent, trivia, great friends. Yes, and enter a fee.
Okay. All right, that sounds great.
Yeah.
Then another thing that's on your plate right now is getting ready for our spectacular car cruise and car show.
Yes, June 26th and 27th will be the 20th anniversary of the Cool City Classic Car Show and Cruise, and it seems like a long ways away, but boy, there's an awful lot to do for it already.
Right.
And some of the things that people are going to find are going to be a little different this year. We are partnering with the Wisconsin Hot Rod Radio Show based out of Milwaukee this year.
Okay.
We will have Captain Bob and Arlo from that show here at our cruise and show on Friday night and Saturday. They will be playing music. They'll be making announcements. They'll be promoting our show at events they go to prior to that this year.
See, that's nice.
It
That
is.
is really nice.
It is. And they'll assist in our trophy presentation,
Okay.
along with somebody who we don't know exactly who it is yet, but after a year off, the newly crowned Miss Wisconsin will be at the event again this year. The Miss Wisconsin pageant is a weekend before our car show.
Okay.
So she will be named on the 20th, I believe it's on Saturday. And her first public event will be here in Two Rivers at the Cool City Classic on the 26th and 27th.
I missed having her last year.
And so did we, and it was an issue with booking companies and schedules and stuff like that that kind of made that fall through, and it was disappointing because I think she really adds something to the show, and it gives, like I said, her a first chance to be out in public.
Yeah, I think that it's a good way for her to get her feet wet,
Mm-hmm.
and she's excited, and she hasn't done it already a million times. And
Yep.
it's, because they always, the winners in the past at the car show, they've always been very enthusiastic, interact really well with the public, getting their pictures taken, and especially with handing out the trophies too, which is fun.
It is, and frankly, you know, most of the people that win trophies at the car show, for some reason, would rather get their picture taken with Miss Wisconsin than with me.
Yeah. Well, I helped out last year.
Yes, you did.
Like,
yes, you did.
It was like, yay, you want a picture? Not really.
Yeah, but I think the Wisconsin Hot Rod Radio thing with Captain Bob and Arlo is going to be great.
Okay.
They're very well known around the state and frankly around the Midwest. You know, they travel to car shows all over Wisconsin over the course of that season, which begins the beginning of May.
Wow.
And but they also go to shows outside the state. They were at the SEMA Auto Accessory Show in Vegas in December, for example. And they do stuff like that all over the country during the off-car show season in Wisconsin.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
And what else have you been working on?
Well, another thing, and back in October, I went to an event, a conference type event called the Downtown Summit, which is an event hosted by the Wisconsin Downtown Action Council. And it's an event for people that are involved in downtown development to learn ways to help your downtown and your community thrive. And we were fortunate enough, there was an application to be filled out there to win a community walk audit, which was a, if you want to call it a prize that was donated by AARP. And AARP has, in the last few years, added basically a friendly communities division to their organization, and it's all about making communities more friendly to people.
Okay.
You know, it kind of takes the focus on downtowns that are car friendly and things like that, and it focuses more on people being able to walk and
Okay.
bike. And the focus of this part of the organization is that a community that is comfortably walkable for an 80-year-old, which obviously most people think of when they think of art, and an 8-year-old
Okay,
will be comfortable for anybody
okay,
to enjoy. And that's what this walkability audit is all about. And I filled out an application at this event in October. Two Rivers was fortunate enough to be chosen to receive one of these audits, and we'll be doing that on Friday, May 1st of this year.
okay,
And they will send a crew of people here. We will be looking for volunteers to help with this process. And again, you contact me at the Two Rivers Main Street office if you're interested in helping, either through our website or give us a call. And they will, within a designated geographic area, which will focus on downtown and probably the corridor over to the beach, they'll focus on things that make maybe make our downtown a detriment to walkers, to children walkers, to things like that, and gather information to say to us, these are things you can do to make Two Rivers a more walkable, more user-friendly, I guess is a good way to put it, community.
I think that's fantastic. We were really, really fortunate
Oh, I agree.
to have this, because we don't think about that ourselves. We're getting from point A to point B, and we have a task in mind,
Yes.
and because we live here, we know what the setup is, and that we adjust,
Exactly.
So-
You hit the nail right on the head, and the analogy that I would use to that is that business people a lot of times tend to spend more time working in their business than on their business, and it's very hard for a business person to step back and look at their business from an outsider's perspective. And frankly, it is in a community too. So bringing in outside eyes and different thoughts and a different way of looking at downtown Two Rivers and the community as a whole will help us make the community more user-friendly.
I think that's great.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. I really am. And one of the keys to the starting of this this healthier living and community friendly thing in the AARP world is Darren Wisniewski. And Darren, of course, as Darla, you know him. Darren was the director of the Wisconsin Main Street program for 5 years, and about a year ago he took a position developing these programs for AARP.
Okay.
And as a matter of fact, I saw him at a meeting I was at today, and we were discussing this process, and he'll be here on May 1st. And he's looking forward to come back. Darren loves Two Rivers.
Right.
He and I have had numerous conversations about getting him to move here.
Okay.
And I'm still working on it. But he loves the community and is looking forward to getting back up here.
Okay. Well, fantastic.
Yeah.
Very nice man. I look forward to seeing him again. It's
Yep.
been a little while.
Mhm.
And as far as Main Street's going, we have new people on the board, new people on committees. There's been a little restructuring.
Thank you for bringing that up. Yes, there is. We've reorganized some of the committees that we have and the way we're managing those. We do have a few new board members as of the first of the year. Emily Ristikin, who owns Screamin' Conuts, is a new member of the board. Emily came. She actually 2.5 years ago was a high school member of our board of directors when we started that program
Right.
to tie into the schools better. And Emily, of course, opened Screamin' Conuts in May of last year and jumped at the opportunity to become a regular board member now
Right.
instead of a high school appointee, and she's going to be a great asset. Nathan Cronforce from Whitecap Insurance Agency, and Nathan, very familiar with Main Street. He's been involved, as I mentioned before, with the trivia contest.
Right.
He's been instrumental in the car show every year. He kind of manages the food and beverage aspects of the car show every year, and he's on the committee for the Brew Dash. And of course, his wife Teresa has served on Teresa Cronforce of Traders has served on the Main Street board for a long time, and he's going to be a great asset to the board too. We've got some great new members on the board. We elected new officers. Travis Stevens will return as president. Lee Hansen from Seeds and Beans, of course, is a new vice president. Gina Cron from Sepia Chapel, who got onto the board a little bit earlier to replace somebody who had to resign. Gina's our new secretary, and Jeff Soxie from Raleigh Point Economic Consulting is our treasurer again this year. So great slate of officers, great board of directors. I'm really excited about this, and as I've talked about before, I've been involved with Two Rivers Main Street since before it started.
Right.
And I look at this group of people as a board of directors, and I think that from one end to the other, I think this is a group of people that's going to get an awful lot done this year and the next couple of years for downtown Two Rivers.
That's wonderful. It is a great group of people with a lot of drive and passion, and they care about the community, and it shows.
Yes.
It really, really does.
Yes.
And I thank you for everything that you do and leading the pack. You know, keeping us a little bit corralled, you know, so we're not going off on tangents.
Oh, that never happens, does it?
It did the other morning.
Oh, Lord, yes.
It was an interesting conversation.
Yep.
But you know, it's Two Rivers Main Street is a wonderful organization and does a lot for the community, and we're just very fortunate to be a Main Street community.
And I agree with that wholeheartedly, and I believed in it very strongly back in 1996 when, through the urgings of then new city manager Greg Buckley, the decision was made to apply to become a Main Street community. So next year in 2021, we'll be celebrating our 25th anniversary.
That's amazing.
As a Main Street community. Yes.
Oh gosh.
Yep. And Greg roped me into the application process in 1996, and really for all of the 25 years since then, well, almost all. I mean, there was a little period in there where I was working in Sheboygan, and I wasn't involved, but really it's an organization that I believe in very strongly and been very passionate about since its formation. And I'll tell you what, the day that I was told that I was hired to be the executive director, from a professional standpoint, was the best day of my life.
Really?
Yes.
Well,
I love this job. I love the community, and I'm looking forward to doing this until I retire, although some of my board members tell me
He's
never
not retiring. No. It ain't gonna happen. Well, thank you for, like I said, thank you for being our fearless leader and for everything that you do and everything that Main Street does, and it just continues to get better and better.